Ciso. Oh, it's fabulous! A strike to get you up off your seats.
Hello, welcome to Seagulls Social, Season 4, Episode 41, I think. But Brighton have won a game. For the first time in 2 months, Brighton have won a game. And I'm joined not with Ben and Maz. Their attendance is just as good as the attendance yesterday at the Amex. And that, by the way, means that they're both here because there was 31,000 at the Amex yesterday. But by that account, it means we had to call on the other two boys. Never a chore, Jack and Adam. Jack, mate, I saw you in the pub after the game. Didn't actually physically see you in the pub after the game, but I saw you online in the pub after the game. What did you make of it, mate? How are you?
Yeah, no, we played really well. I thought we were a much better team throughout. I think if it was a 0-0 game, people would be like, oh yeah, that's probably a fair result. Like, I think we edged it, but I think we had the better chances. Villa looked, trying to think of a polite way to put it, which doesn't involve saying a word beginning with F and ending in ED. But
knackered.
Villa were knackered. There you go. Villa looked knackered, and I think we took advantage of that, which we haven't done enough this season. We do have a habit of like not taking advantage of other teams' misfortune, and I think we did really well at that. Yeah,
agree. And Adam, mate, how are you, mate? How are you?
Yeah, all good. Much better because of the win. I mean, yeah, it was weird. Kind of walking into the stadium, I was sort of going to people around me. I was going, I think we're winning today. I don't know what it was, but I had a feeling in my bones. You know, Jack was saying before we came on that he had that feeling because he knew no one was going to be there. And it's kind of always the way, isn't it? But yeah, good game. Brighton played well. Good performance. Deserved win. Good day all round.
I agree. I mean, if you put it back to probably 2:00 yesterday, I've got to be honest, when I saw the team, I was quite happy. It looked like we went for a little bit more experience. It looked like we were, trying to play De Zerbi's system differently. We've tried to change system quite a bit recently. It's not always worked. Then we tried to change it and put some youth players in, which definitely didn't work at Bournemouth. So, Jack, to a degree, we had probably the most experienced team out there in regards to a De Zerbi system anyway. And do you think that made a difference?
Yeah, I think we played a really good team. I remember looking at the team sheet and going, that's actually a really strong team. I think maybe we haven't got full injuries back, but we've definitely got some semblance of a decent team. It's just a shame that there's only 3 more games to go
it's
after
the wingers,
this,
isn't it?
Yeah, and I thought there's some really good performances all over the pitch. I mean, I'm a little bit of an Adam Webster skeptic, but I have to say he was absolutely fantastic yesterday. I know, obviously, Simon Adingra's got most of the Ivory Coast voting for him the Man of the Match award, which is fair play. You know, he played very well, Simon Adingra, but I thought Adam Webster was by far and away the Man of the Match. He just kept Watkins quiet all game, which is a hard task. Like Watkins very in form.
Yeah, agree. And Adam, I'd say it's experienced. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still not the first choice team that we wanted. Probably we didn't have, the fullbacks and the wingers that a starting 11 would require. But you mentioned Adingra, Jack. Adam, did you think he was man of the match? I thought he had a decent game, to be honest. And maybe a little bit wasteful at times, but, he's very, very raw, isn't he?
I thought it's a tough one. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say one man of the match, but I think there's a fair shout for him being man of the match. A lot of Brighton's creativity and that electricity kind of came through him, and it looked like he was often the outlet, particularly obviously on that left with Igor kind of getting involved. To be fair to him as well, I thought it was a really good performance. I thought, as you guys said, it would have been interesting to see if we'd had that 11 up against Bournemouth, whether the result would have been, at all different. I think it was, like you boys have said, a mature team. One that just, I always feel quite comfortable when I see like Dunk and Webster and Veltman at the back. I do. I like them. I've always feel quite, comfortable watching Brighton when I see those guys play. I thought Webster was absolutely brilliant. I mean, everyone's been saying it since the game. When he came in, I'll admit, there was some chats around us in our group that bloody hell, Webster's in and stuff, but he's proven everyone wrong, and he's still a top player. Of course, he's still a top player. It's clearly a confidence thing, but yeah, great to see from his perspective.
I'm going to follow on from your Webster point because it wasn't long ago that we were shouting for him for England. I say it wasn't long ago. It was probably about a year and a half ago now, maybe a bit longer.
Yeah, a while ago.
I mean, he was he was very good for us. He was very good for us for a good few years. He was a starting centre back, really, really solid, especially under Potter. When we had Webster, Duncan, White, wasn't it originally? Then we've got Cucurella in that season where Potter left. The season when we got ninth before he left. Very solid, pretty much all the way through the year. So, I think apart from injuries, he's always sort of hampered himself. I don't think the quality of Webster's always been a problem, but I don't know about you, Jack, but I think it's more of a mental thing with him because he's had so many injuries. It ruins his confidence when he comes back in, and especially with Van Hecker being so good, we've had to rely on him to be the old Webster, which is always quite harsh.
Yeah, I think it always seems with Webster it takes him a few games to get going. Like if he's going to be in good form, he always has like 1 or 2 games where he's just absolutely rubbish. But I think him coming on against Bournemouth last week sort of gave him a nice little, almost like a nice little platform to perform well. Like it gave him sort of, I think he came on for probably about 20 minutes, but it sort of gave him that ability to sort of build on that performance. And I thought he was quite good when he came on against Bournemouth. I mean, admittedly, there wasn't much good to talk about at Bournemouth, but it was better than a lot of the other performances. It's interesting you say though about the team against Bournemouth, would that team have beat Bournemouth? I think Bournemouth just in very good form. I think that's not.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too much of a difference there. But yeah, Webster, I don't know. He just had a good one yesterday, and it'd be good if he can build on that. But I do think at the end of the day, he's the 4th choice centre back, and I don't think there's probably better 4th choice centre backs in the league.
Jack, what would you, just out of interest, like me and Ryan spoke about this when we were in the Caxton for the Talk Seagulls a couple of weeks ago. Like I was sort of saying, I wouldn't be too surprised if they did move Webster on this summer. Where would you be with that? Because I'm not going to see, obviously, you see some of the abuse he got over the last few months and stuff. That's completely unjustified. But I think ultimately, like you say, he is the 4th choice centre back. Where do you think his kind of position lies going to the summer?
Yeah, interesting one. I think he'll get moved. I think it'll be one of those situations where he might move on or he might not. If somebody comes in for him, I don't think it would be unfair. It would be unfair for us to stand in his way. If one of the more promoted sides, maybe Ipswich, now they're up, ex-Ipswich player, he'd be perfect for them. Southampton, if he wants to stay local, or maybe even Pompey in the Championship. Although I do think he's a bit better than lower half Championship player, so I think that would be probably maybe a little bit of a step down, but I think he's probably more than happy to stay. I think the club are more than happy for him to stay, and it just gives us another option in that area, because I do think the problem this season at times has just been numbers. Like there have been moments throughout the season where we just don't have enough numbers to sort of field a decent team, but then the problem is, like, I don't think it can be denied that he is quite injury prone. Like I think he does have long time out with injury, and it does seem to happen. He'll play 4 or 5 games and he'll be injured again. So yeah, that one's an interesting one. I think it'll be one of those ones, if someone comes in for him with a decent fee, I think we'll see him going, and fair play to him. He's done well for us. I think maybe he's not amazing at De Zerbi's style, but he still does a decent enough job. So I won't be disappointed if he stays, and I won't be gutted if he goes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I agree as well, to be honest. I mean, I think I said on, because we did a cheap loan sale, and I hate doing them because it's very, you have to answer one or the other. And I had to sort of say sell because I had no reason to say loan. And based on what Jack said again, the keeping wouldn't necessarily be the first choice option, not just for us, but for him. But yeah, I think as a squad player and as a person as well, he seems very popular, doesn't he, around the squad. Gets on obviously very well with the leaders in the squad, and probably is a leader in himself, to be fair. Local boy, obviously from Chichester, so if he did move to Portsmouth, it would make sense. Anyway, yeah, I thought he was good. And yeah, just build on it, really. I think the end of this season's obviously a bit of a weird one. We've got 3 games left. We're nearly at the end of it. It's funny because I saw a couple of tweets from this time last year, saying how much the season's flown by. It's felt like, a complete blur, as particularly last season. Whereas I don't know about you boys, but particularly the last 4 months or so has felt like an absolute drag. And it's only now that we've actually won a game, Adam, where it's felt a little bit quicker because we've not been too used to this recently, have we?
Yeah, definitely. Like particularly when you think back to the start of the season as well, where it was like actually really quite good, and we had some great away days or good home games as well.
Feels like a long time ago.
It does feel like a long time ago, and also like I think as well, like just generally in life, it's been a long winter as well. Like, do you know what I mean? The whole season just has felt quite long. So I don't know. It's good. It's good to get back to winning ways. I can't see. I actually had a bet with my dad. We said I didn't think Brighton were going to win another game this season. This was probably about 2 or 3 games ago. But to be fair to them, turned it around. I can't see them, to be honest, picking up too many points for the end of the season. But I think as we spoke about before, Ryan, it's just about getting to the end of the season, regrouping, seeing how the summer goes, and obviously we will come back in much better nick. And, I imagine with De Zerbi still at the helm and we'll be able to go again. But, these things happen. And to be honest, I still don't think it's been a bad season. I think it's actually still been a very good season from a fan perspective. Yeah. It's been an amazing season. It's been like, probably one of the best experiences we'll probably ever have as fans. So I think, there obviously needs to be a bit of context to it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, we'll pick out a few individuals because we spoke about Webster, spoke about Dingra. I thought João Pedro and Ciso was worth mentioning. Particularly Enciso. Obviously, he's been managing his minutes a little bit, hasn't he, since coming back from injury. Every now and then coming off the bench. I think we've definitely been prone to putting players on a bit prematurely under De Zerbi, obviously Stupinian, just to name one of many. Whereas with Enciso, it's been a little bit more managed, and when he comes on, he's a lot more effective. Probably the one thing he needs to learn is how to place it rather than just banging it, but I don't think he was programmed to do anything else apart from smack it when he gets the ball. But Jack, I don't know about you, mate. He's been very good, and I think changed the dynamic of how we were going forward in the second half. Because we played, just on that, we played very well in the first half. I thought I went into half-time thinking, feeling pretty good, just need a little bit more cutting edge. I think Enciso gave that in the second half.
Yeah, I think Enciso came on, sort of made us go a bit more forward, gave us a bit more oomph, to be very crude about explaining that. I thought Buonanotte did well, but I thought we just needed something a little bit different, and him sort of making a change on those two things made it a lot better. I liked him in that 10 role. It sort of meant people could play off him. He could drop out wide. He could go inside. I think he just did really well at sort of like I say, giving us some oomph to score. And João Pedro as well was like, them two together looked really, really good. And there were some nice little flicks and stuff. And Gross actually, I mean, not to massively criticise our greatest ever player, but he's had a poor few weeks. And I thought he was really good as well. I thought he stepped up a bit, and he had a really good performance for a nice change, which was really good.
Yeah. Do you think on that, Adam? Like, we've had a couple of Gross hasn't been the best sometimes, but it's just been one of those where we've all been a bit rough. I mean, everyone's sort of taken a bit of a hit in form. I do think Gross and Dunk particularly came down to a lot of tiredness, and this is the first game we've had in ages where this is our only game of the week. And you saw how much more prepared we were than Aston Villa, for example, who literally lost and played a couple of days ago. Yeah,
completely. And you think, I sort of feel like from a fan's perspective as well, ever since kind of that knockout from Roma, it just felt like the whole kind of sting of the season's just kind of gone, and the momentum's really gone. So, of course, that's going to have an impact on the players, and we can pick out individuals. Obviously, Gross and Dunk play so many games, so of course it's going to have an impact. As you say, I think it's a moment in time, isn't it? And obviously these players, they're not winding down, but they, the other side of 30, and they probably are at a point where maybe they need to kind of be managed a little bit better. I'm not saying we don't play them, but I think it's a whole team thing, and we definitely struggled when we were having to play 2-3 games a week. Playing on Sundays after Europa League, we saw that, and ultimately I think it caught up with us. We were obviously unlucky with injuries as well. But yeah, I think it was great to see, for example, someone like Enciso, who struggled so much with injury this season and then struggled again with injury, kind of come on. I don't think Buonanotte was awful. I've seen a couple of comments saying he was the worst player on the pitch. I mean, maybe he was for Brighton, but like it wasn't that bad. I think he still looked all right, and he was kind of being able to kind of weave in and out some players. He still needs to improve on that physicality a little bit. But I just like the way Encisa comes on. He loves a shot. He's very forward thinking, very direct. I think he didn't change the game, but he definitely just added that kind of impetus that we need in the second half, 100%.
Yeah, he's that crowd player, isn't he?
Exactly.
Like, what the crowd want is a little bit of excitement, and in a game like Villa yesterday, it was a bit dull. At half time it was quite quiet. Obviously, there's barely anyone in the crowd. But I think when you need a bit of excitement, it does get the crowd off their feet, and it does change the momentum of the game. I think Encisa is one of them sort of players, as is João Pedro. I do like the two of them working together going into the end of this season, because we haven't really had too much dietism, have we, Jack? Like, we keep banging on about it, but how much we miss Matoma and Solly. But I thought he did get a better out of Adingra as well, where he was a little bit wasteful in the first half. Probably in the second, he was a bit more productive.
Yeah, I think Adingra, he really good coming off the wings. It was good to see like a winger playing De Zerbi's way, really, and how we like to play with wingers. Maybe we didn't get so much of an overlap because, Igor did a fantastic job, but he's not exactly a marauding overlapping left back. And another great performance from Igor as well. But
not bad for him.
Yeah. But no, it was interesting with Adingra because he sort of, I do think he was a little bit wasteful. And there were times where he could have made his decision making a little bit better. I think that's my only criticism of him. There's a couple of times where he could have squared it rather than have a shot, and he was snatching at stuff a bit. And I think people just wanted to get a goal in, especially after having one ruled out as well. So no.
Do you think that changes in him, Jack? On that, is that something that's coachable with Adingra? Is he just a raw talent, and you will get that decision?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some horrendous takes on Adingra in the last few weeks. I think, at the end of the day, I think Adingra's probably had to come in this season and be like a starter and a main starting player. And in reality, at the beginning of the season, when he was available, I think probably all were just thinking like, oh, he'll be like a wild card off the bench, see what he can do. And I think first half of the season, when we had Matoma and we had March, he was that sort of option who would sort of come in, do quite well, maybe liven it up, someone to chuck on late on, just a bit of energy. Whereas as the season's gone on, he's been forced into the position where he's probably one of the first names on the
right
team.
And left.
Yeah, right and left. And I think a good summer where he can maybe take a little bit of a backseat, work on his game a little bit, and he can build up to becoming a much better player. I still think he'll be a fantastic player. I think he'll be one of our sales for like 50 million at one point. So, or a big sale in the end. So, I think we just need to give him a bit of time. And I think people forget he is incredibly young still. He's still only 21.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Or 22 now, maybe. But
no, I think he is right. I think you're right.
21.
You say that about these sort of players, Adam. I mean, obviously him and Facundo do get a bit of stick. And they have played a pretty similar role this season, haven't they? In that they're not starters. They've had to be starters. And on the most part, if you were to take a zoom out and look at the whole season, I'd say they've had a very good season by their standards at the moment. Would you say that they're going to be ones that are looking at for a loan next year to get that regular football, maybe a more significant figure at a different club, or would you rather keep them around and learn off the likes of Ibrahim Osman, the likes of Karim Mitoma, and anyone else that we bring in during the summer window?
Well, to be honest, I'd be assuming that someone like Ibrahim Osman would have to be learning off like Simon Adingra, to be honest, someone who's had a year of Premier League football under his belt already. I think, I remember when Sonny March got injured at Man City, and obviously Simon Adingra gets the chance then. And I remember at the time thinking, what an opportunity this is for him. And we didn't even really realise how much, the extent to which we would have to rely on him even after Solly March got injured. It got even worse with injuries. We've had to rely on him so much out of position. De Zerbi's made it clear. I think it's obvious with his game. He's a left winger, ideally. He's had to play on the right. Same with Facundo. I mean, maybe Facundo Buonanotte is one where a loan would benefit him. I think that's probably for me, I think there's that lacking in physicality and that kind of understanding of British football, that kind of thing. I think he kind of needs to work on a little bit. But I don't really know where he'd go. I mean, maybe the Championship, I suppose. But I don't know. I think
he was arranged, wasn't it? There was a Championship loan arranged,
yes, yeah.
and then it fell through, didn't it, at the last minute? So Yeah, no,
He would be one of the best, most talented players in the Championship.
Yeah,
I think.
but
I think people would.
Sorry, I was just saying, I would say Adingra for me is, maybe this is a completely different view to you guys, I'd say Adingra for me is a fair bit further ahead kind of than someone like Buonanotte, in my opinion. In terms of looking comfortable in the league and kind of, Adingra can go and beat a man quite easily, as we saw yesterday. I think, maybe that's not his game, but he kind of still struggles with that a little bit. So I
We
don't
saw
know.
Buonanotte against the likes of Sheffield United in the Cup as well, where he scored them good goals. When he was playing sort of against, no disrespect to Sheffield, actually no maximum disrespect to Sheffield United, they injured our best player. When you look at the teams they were playing, at the bottom of the league and in the cups, that's when he actually did stand out a lot. And that's sometimes where, if you do want that confidence boost, like we've given to Jeremy Sarmiento this season at Ipswich, it does actually pay dividends when they come back, and they come back as a bigger man than they were when they left as sort of the boy that was looking for an experience. Jack, if you think,
I think it'd be interesting to see if we do loan any of these players out, because Buonanotte, he's another one who's been kind of forced wide a little bit. He's clearly not a wide player, he's more of a central player. But then, when we talk about sending Buonanotte on loan, he's probably scored arguably one of our goals of the season against Crystal Palace. And he played a massive role.
And Sheffield United.
And Sheffield United, as well. Oh, yeah, Christ, I forgot about that one. That one in the league game is amazing, only just slipped over the line. And
no, wait, I mean the world that he scored from okay, good. I thought you genuinely
No, I didn't. I haven't got that goal.
Sorry, it went
to be
over my
fair,
head.
I had a lot to drink that day on the train, so I don't remember a lot of
Now there's a surprise.
Yeah, no, that was a hectic day. And Ben dragged me over when we scored that goal. Like, he dragged me to the floor.
I did see the photo of that, actually.
So I did end up on the deck. But yeah, it was he's scored some really good goals. He's a really good player. He's actually been involved, and if he wasn't a first team, his goal contributions probably look really good. So I don't know whether he needs a loan. It'd be interesting to see. I think obviously Sarmiento's gone out on loan. A lot of people seem to think he's done really well on loan, which is fair. I don't think he's done amazing out on loan. Not to sort of talk it down, but I think
isn't he going to stay there, or at least that was the rumor.
Yeah, the rumor.
They got promoted. I don't know how true that is. I just remember it coming from the Ipswich end, about the fact of him staying a year if they do get promoted.
I still think what we need to see with Sarmiento for him to sort of go into the situation where he looks really good is when he is for him to have a good
regular starter,
which is just not what he's able to do at the moment for various reasons. Maybe it's fitness, maybe it's because they've got a very good side. I'm not sure, but I think that hasn't worked out how I wanted it to work out. But
could you guys see?
Yeah,
it'd be interesting.
Sorry, I was just going to say.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Could you guys see the club just like selling Sarmiento?
Possibly, but I don't.
Not yet.
Yeah, I think. Maybe...
So I feel like sometimes that just happens. Like, you have a player where you think, oh, he's quite good, he's going to be on loan, he'll come back, and then he'll just be sold. And it's like that's happened a few times with some youth players. I've been like, God, they've sold him or they've released him. It's just like, what?
Yeah. I don't think Sarmiento will be those ones. I do think there'll be a few in the summer which will surprise people, though, that we just players out on loan which are quite highly rated, which will just disappear in the summer. Like Mark Leonard, one of them, I think, which is a shame.
Leonard's a big one. Leonard's a really big one.
I can see Abdallah Sima possibly not being kept on.
I think Sima won't stay
and moved on.
And the fan outrage will be like, "What the bloody hell?" You know what I mean? That would just be how.
But then you look at some of these loan spells and Leonard's obviously done well, and I would like to see him given a chance, mainly because he's performed so well. But it is League One football, and it's the same with Sarmiento. He's done semi well, but it is Championship football. And then it's like,
I suppose we're at a point now where we have to get better, and we have to be ruthless in getting better.
That's sort of.
I mean, you think about it. The club goes on about how the transfer targets are going to be higher this summer, and with that means you can't rely on players you've put on loan this season. You can't improve with that as such. Sometimes you can in certain circumstances, i.e. Ben White when he went to Leeds, but that's not a very often thing that happens. I mean, you don't tend to get a Ben White that wants to, progress that quickly and go to Arsenal 50 million the year after. Sometimes you can, most times you don't. I think this summer will be really big, as we've gone on about so many times. I'll just bring it back to the game, just because I'm wary that we're just steering clear of the game. But I did think that the second half we played very well. I want to just talk about that because I thought De Zerbi ball was in more action than normal. I think we saw hints of it anyway, in the first 10 minutes against City, where I came out actually not too disappointed about it. We actually did try and take it to them before they inevitably outclassed us. Bournemouth, on the other hand, completely wiped out that optimism that I had, because that we didn't even try and play like that. We just got beaten. But the nice thing to see, Jack, was, or Adam actually, because I need to rotate this better. Adam, it was good to see. The actual football, the style was there, and there was a bit more reason to be excited. I know that fans were getting a little bit apprehensive, and they're a little bit like, "Oh, just get it forward," but at the same time, we need to have this back, because that's what we do best.
Yeah, and I had a lot of people around me. There's a bloke behind me who I just cannot stand.
There's always the one, isn't there?
Down the end of the row, who is like, he's the most fickle bloke I've ever come across in my life. But it's all about, just lump it forward, all that kind of thing. But, and at times it is frustrating, but we were back to kind of not our best, but, we look more like ourselves in terms of playing with actual, a bit of conviction and playing with a bit more purpose. I feel like I'm constantly kind of criticising De Zerbi, and this is not a criticism at all. I think, he's an unbelievable manager, but I think sometimes you got to kind of, I think with the Bournemouth game, I don't know, I just kind of think with De Zerbi sometimes he needs to change the way he plays. And I think maybe kind of we should have shown a bit more respect to maybe Bournemouth in the way we kind of, I don't know. I just, the point I'm trying to sort of make is like, I think this is an example of where De Zerbi's football has worked. I think there are other times where it really doesn't. And I think maybe we just got lucky, not lucky, but we were a little bit fortunate that we had a whole week off. Villa didn't. We were able to kind of regroup a little bit. You see the article from Andy Naylor about how they went out go-karting or something in the week to kind of get the morale back and stuff. But I don't know, it was good. Yeah, the first half for me I think was quite a boring first half. I had my girlfriend with me, and she wasn't too impressed in the first half from an entertainment perspective. But yeah, overall a very good performance, and one where we definitely deserve to win.
Jack, I think, I don't know, we're looking, I don't know, maybe I look at it in really, really optimistic way, but I actually wasn't down about the first half, and in the second I was quite happy about the way we played. And the disallowed goal as well came from a good move, and surprisingly it was actually Igor that put the ball across. Yes, Gross was offside, no complaints there, but it came from a decent move again, and that's not what we've been sort of doing for a long time. So I think that's what we needed to see more than anything else.
I thought we played some nice stuff in the first half. I don't know what the only thing I'll say about, sorry, not to complain about refereeing decisions, but that McGinn and Gross goal, why did it take so long to make the decision? There was daylight between the because where I sit in West Stand Upper, you can see all the cameras, and you can see that they were both offside, almost straight away. So I don't get why it took so long. It was quite bizarre. But yeah, no, we played some nice stuff. I think what the difference is between this and the City game is I do think the City and Arsenal games, we've had that sucker punch just before half time or in the first half. I mean, we had 3 sucker punches against City. But, against Arsenal, we conceded the penalty and then Phil Foden just went on a rampage and, in all honesty, was fantastic. Whereas Villa just didn't quite get going. They didn't sort of push us back and stopped us playing our game, and I think we were really good at sort of pushing up, playing some nice little passing moves, just sort of passing it around them. I think what we do best is when we're playing a tired team, when we're passing around, because it will just tie them up when they've got to keep the pressure on, they've got to run. I did think we'd get overrun in midfield, and we didn't at all, which was really nice as well. If you look at that midfield of McGinn, Louise, we all saw what happened when we lost 6-1 up at their place, so we still only got 6-2 in aggregate, I suppose. But it's we didn't get overrun at all.
Same amount of points.
And I do think Billy Gilmore coming back. I didn't think he had the most amazing game yesterday, but we just looked so much better with his passing range.
Do you know what? I'm glad you mentioned this. Because I always feel like when we take Gilmore off, we suffer that bit more, and we always seem to do it when we're in a position of being quite comfortable. And for the life of me, I'll never understand it. Luckily, yesterday nothing happened, and but there's so many case studies where we take either Gilmour off or particularly someone that holds it together. And this isn't to discredit Moda by any stretch, but bringing him on was probably the one move I would say wouldn't have happened in my books. I mean, I would have liked to see Gilmour probably stay on and see out the game. Maybe he's not quite fit, ready, and able to start that 90 minutes. But I just feel like he gives that stability, as you say. He's boring to watch if you're one of them people that like to watch a Carlos Baleba, a Basuma, a Caicedo, a McAllister. But if you respect football, you respect Billy Gilmour, and I think he definitely helps us a lot in terms of midfield and keeping us together. And then obviously we talk about the goal, João Pedro. It's not a penalty miss, is it? I mean, it is, but it's not. But I do think he was off his line, just to say. So I think it would have been retaken after watching it back. I think it was actually off his line. So it's okay, João. You probably would have scored the pen anyway, mate. But look, you need someone like him because there's so many situations over the years where if we've missed that penalty, that's going wide, it's going over the bar. The keeper's going to hold on to it. Something's going to happen for that to not go in. But luckily, yesterday, Adam, it just fell straight to João Pedro's head.
Definitely, and it was interesting because you could see he was kind of doing that thing, of like waiting for the keeper to move and then putting it in the other opposite corner. And I remember just thinking, like, this keeper's literally not moving. Like, he's not giving anything away. And to be fair, it was a good save. It wasn't like it was a bad penalty. It was a good save. But yeah, it was massively deserved. Like you say, Jack. I think with that first goal, it was just weird because I was in the West Lower and it was just so obvious. It was so obvious offside. As soon as it went in, we were all just like, "This literally looks offside," and wasn't given. But yeah, big goal. He's been such talismanic player for Brighton this season. He's been a real focal point, and now 20 goals this season. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I did feel like he had a little bit of a duck getting that 20th goal because 20 goals is obviously like a big thing, isn't it? 20 goal a season striker, all of that, and it did feel like he was sort of the closer and closer he would get to that 20th goal, he just kept on sort of just falling short. And you thought,
he was on 19 for ages, wasn't he?
Yeah, and it's sort of like, he's not going to score this 20th goal, is he? And then of course he finally does, which is really good. I think the 19th goal was the Palace goal, wasn't it? And then that was the last time he scored.
Yeah. And then he got injured, didn't he? Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it, how confidence works, because that 20 will mean a lot to him. I think it's one of them that you'll either look back on in the end of the season as 20 and say, yeah, that's a very, very good return on him, or it's one of them where he's going to finish the season and score a couple more, because it does change your way in front of goal when you do get that first goal back. The same with Julio, actually. I don't think he's scored since he's been back from injury. So there's a lot of cases where once that first one does go in, a bit like Solly last season, it does change the perspective of everybody, including the player. But yeah, I thought that ending, Jack, we deserved it, really. It's good to see everyone celebrating, although everyone apart from Mr. De Zerbi, who decided that it was a good time to go for a fag. What do you make of it? Is everyone just overthinking it and thinking, oh my God, where was De Zerbi? But actually just wanted to go for a cigarette, and it is what it is.
Everybody overthinks De Zerbi. Like, I think if there's one thing that
You're very right.
and which I think you probably know more going to the press conferences, everybody overthinks exactly what he says and exactly what he does every single time. I can think of multiple times where he's done something and everybody's like, that means he's off, that means he's staying. It doesn't mean anything. He's just, it's like, it's so hyper analysed that it just doesn't sort of, and obviously, there's a whole sort of industry around like analysing staff and sports media, but it's just, you can't be like, he didn't walk out on the pitch, he's definitely going to Bayern, or that way. Yeah. I think it was quite nice because it sort of gave the players credit, because I thought the players put in a really good shift, especially in that 9 minutes injury time, to sort of walk around and it was stressful. I felt like I needed a cigarette, but I don't smoke, so it was a stressful 9 minutes. So it was a stressful game because every game is stressful for me. But it was.
But I thought that last 9 minutes, actually, I'm glad you mentioned. I thought we killed that really.
Yeah, I thought we killed that.
We really did. I thought Yeah, because so many times, especially against Villa, we've let them back in there, and there'll be another chance, and then it'll probably start raining, and we're all going to get soaked going back to wherever we're coming from. And the amount of times I've left the Amex in a similar sort of way, where we've been absolutely taken out in the last couple of minutes because we didn't kill the game properly. That's a bit of experience again from João Pedro, to be fair, just going into corners, holding the ball, being a little bit of a wind-up, getting the crowd up for it. That's what you need in them last few minutes. It's the old Championship way, if you like, but it works every single time in English football. But yeah, I thought we were good. Just on your thoughts, Adam, on De Zerbi not being there. I mean, I only picked up on it once they were halfway around the pitch, and I think I said to my dad, I was like, "Where's De Zerbi?" Yeah. And then I think we were all sort of looking for him, and then we all sort of said around us, "Where's De Zerbi?" And then I thought, I'm not going to read too much into it. He's probably there's got to be a reason for it. I'm just going to leave it as it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, Adam, your thoughts?
I mean, I didn't even really. I did notice it because I was looking for him, but managers do that, don't they? Just go down the tunnel. I think Paul Barber summed it up quite well in the fans forum last week when he said. He made a joke about how, De Zerbi's always saying stuff to get him in trouble or creating a problem for him. And it's like that old thing is like, I think, like Jack says, just don't read into it too much. What he says probably isn't always exactly how he means it, and maybe what things he does like that. It's just, I think it's fair
probably
enough.
did it just to wind everybody up.
He should have brought his cigarette onto the pitch, to be fair to him. I think that would have been quite funny. But,
I also think English isn't his first language still. I mean, he's got a very good grasp of the English language, but they still can sort of accidentally say stuff that doesn't quite translate as well as it should do. So I do think that
it's because it's so direct.
Yeah.
So the direct translation is like, it's like if you put anything on Google Translate from Italian to English or English to Italian, it will literally just go as literal as you're saying it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people forget about language barriers, because I guess they don't deal with languages on a daily basis, but you can't just expect the direct language to be exactly how you would say it in your brain, because that's just not how it works. It's a bit like when you do GCSE English speaking, Spanish speaking or German speaking or something. It sounds awful. And also, but yeah, I wouldn't read too much into it either.
Just quickly on that De Zerbi thing as well, I think it's interesting as well, because I wonder if you spoke to just Jim, the 65-year-old season ticket holder who goes to home games only, he probably wouldn't have even noticed it. Do you know what I mean? I think it's people like us, young people, chronically online, who see, he went and had a cigarette, and we're all going, oh my God, and everyone's overreacting. It's like, most people at the ground wouldn't have even noticed he wasn't there. No one would be reading into it. And I think it's just kind of us lot on social media going, oh yeah, there's something in that, when there probably just isn't.
I think I didn't even notice it until till this morning. Well, no, last night I saw the quote.
Did you actually know?
No, I saw it last night because I posted on Twitter about him going for a cigarette. But it wasn't until I was well gone from the stadium. That's mad. There wasn't I wasn't watching it and going oh yeah, I didn't notice De Zerbi there. And it was a strange. It's strange that people pick up on this stuff, because I didn't notice it at all. I just sort of...
Sorry. I just saw it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
I was that guy that's...
Yeah, exactly. Ryan, you've got a media career to live up to, so,
I'm overthinking it, Jack. I'm overthinking it.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. No, I thought it was all right. It was okay. We still got the win, and it was nice to see some celebrations at the end. Obviously, Veltman, wasn't it? Was it Belabor as well that was dancing at the end?
Yeah. I thought it was.
Sort of looking too much. A Dingra as well, The Belabor was jumping all over Lewis Dunk. That's what he was doing.
I think Belabor's head is on a different planet to the rest of us.
I love it. It's great.
He's a strange guy, man, and that's what I like.
He's crazy. No, it's good. It's what you want to see. But no, anyway, all good. It's nice to be back to winning ways. Jack, I'll just pick up on your tweet at the end of the game yesterday.
Which one?
Actually, I think it was Mike King, actually.
Oh, good.
You said it as well, but Mike King said it more directly and said, that's for everyone who chose not to go yesterday, not for any people that physically couldn't go to the game. Obviously, you're not aiming it at them people. The people that chose to put their ticket on the exchange, because we're in bad form, you can blame it on the storm if you like. But I guarantee you it's because we weren't doing very well. That's what happens And if let that be a lesson to you.
It's always been like that,
as you have echoed, Jack.
It's always like that. I remember back in the day, and I can't remember what game it was. There was something. This is like back in the day, like League One. Oh yeah, it's Charlton away, and someone put a thread on North Stand chat and just said, Charlton is going to be shit. That's all it said. And there was this big long rant about like why Charlton's going to be terrible, and that was a game, of course, where we won 4-0. And we beat, when Murray scored, Sparrow scored, Loire. And it's just like one of these quite funny things where when people think stuff's going to be shit, we always seem to do really well. And it's like Newcastle, nobody seems to want to go to Newcastle. Whenever I go, like, are you going? It's like, no, I can't bother with this one. I mean, fair enough, it's a fucking long way. But, you just get a good feeling about these games sometimes.
I've got a good feeling about Newcastle.
Yeah. They're in a bit,
I'm glad you said that.
They're in a bit strange form, aren't they? Like, they're doing really well in some games, and in some games they just look absolutely
we're going
terrible.
4 in a row, mate.
Yeah, maybe
we're going 4 in a row.
4 in a row.
We're going to be the ones to stop Chelsea getting Europe. we'll get a win at Newcastle just for a bit of fun. And just everyone's going to be having fun anyway because it's the last away game. And then it's United. And whenever we play United in the league, what happens.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see. Cool. I think that's everything. Adam, any words for the people that didn't turn up yesterday?
It's
and Ben and Mads not turning up today as well.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest crime, isn't it?
Yeah.
The super
This is long enough in the podcast where they actually wouldn't have watched this far, so they can't even have a go at me. Actually, they
yeah.
Sorry,
I mean, I think in terms of fans not coming, like. I think Brighton are quite bad for that, really. I think, Brighton's... I personally think Brighton's home support is very fickle. 1 minute, everyone's the first person to jump up when Free From Desire is playing. But, like, as soon as we're kind of on a bad run of games, people are shouting, people are screaming. It's like, do you not realise how good it is at the moment? Like, that kind of always has annoyed me with the Brighton home fan base. Not to kind of dig my own our own fans out. But... yeah, I don't know. It's no surprise, really, but it's their loss, isn't it? So
fair enough. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I agree.
Yeah, I think
there's much as I can agree.
We do have a very, very good. Once we get fully slagging off the fans, I'll do some positive thing.
Sorry, maybe I've gone a bit far.
It's all fun and games.
I do agree with you, but I do think we have a very, very strong core fan base, like the core fan base who do stay and do turn up every week. We've got the
away fans,
and I think this is just the where we are as a club. Like we're not quite at the sort of big club level yet, where we have like a core fan base which turn up every single game and will buy tickets to the point where you've got to like have like 6 tabs open even to get a chance of a ticket. But I think that will come with all the people that have been enjoying this football, and that will come in a few years. But for the moment, I think we do have a little bit of a fickle fan base, but it's nothing too much to worry about. And to be honest, like if you look at it, this game didn't really have anything riding on it. I mean, I was trying to get. We're all going on a European tour going yesterday because I think there is some
in the West.
No. When we were after the game, because I think there is some
I was going to say
bizarre turn of events that means we can still qualify for Europe. Which is like, I think it's like we have to win all our games and Chelsea have to lose all of theirs, because they've got who they've got us
pondering.
Yeah, I know exactly. if we can beat Newcastle and they lose to whoever they've got at the weekend, then the whole game turns on its head a little bit. And then
particularly with the fact we're playing them as well.
Yeah, and that game at the Amex becomes huge.
I don't think we won it.
No, I don't think we won it. Don't. I mean, we won it, but we don't want it. I think that there could be some room for improvement. And I also I'm not that worried if we don't finish in the top 10. I think that'll be fine. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would still like.
It'd be nice to.
It's a nice top 10. 3 years in a row would be quite good.
As long as Palace don't overtake
then we've met that target, haven't we?
Yeah.
I don't think they really will. They've got to lose to United tonight, and then we should be fine.
Yeah.
which by the time this goes out, I'd imagine it'll be this evening, so it'll be about the time of Palace are playing. But yeah, anyway, that's all good. Is there any other talking points I've missed out? I've seen Lopetegui's taken the West Ham job and rejected Bayern Munich in the process, so there's another Bayern rejection there. I think that's now 5 or 6 they've had. Quite surprisingly, maybe, I don't know the ins and outs of Bayern Munich, but if it's anything to go by Mr. Roberto, perhaps it's not the best move for anyone, but who knows. Cool. I think that's everything. Boys, thanks for joining me. Nice to be back to winning ways.
Pleasure.
Who knows if we're going to get another win this season? I'm going to go on a positive and say we will. Roll on Newcastle away. The final one of the year. I'll see you all there. See you, Jack, there. Adam, will you be there? I'm going to assume you're going to be
unfortunately working every Saturday until the end of the season.
I knew you
now,
would
which
be.
is a shame.
At least we've got a couple. At least we've got a Sunday in there for you, so you might be all right. And a
rough.
Wednesday, so you're all right.
Oh yeah, and a Wednesday.
Yeah. I'm only missing Newcastle. It's all good.
Oh yeah,
That's fine.
That's not too bad then.
Well, I'll see you there, Jack.
Yeah.
And yeah, until next time, goodbye.
The Albion.